Hi, I'm Dr. K. Did you know that there's a way to train your brain to eat less and lose weight, and it works in such a way that it almost feels effortless? Yes, it sounds too good to be true, but it is true, and that's what I'm going to share with you in this video today. And this technique is one that I use in my clinic every day to help my clients to lose weight and keep it off, without having to resort to starvation diets. And towards the end of the video, I'm also going to give you an example for how to apply this technique to your life, so don't miss that. Now, when I was growing up, we had a cooking apron, and only my father used it, and he only used it when he was barbecuing. And on the apron, there were 4 words written on the front. Just 4 words. And those 4 words were, "The diet starts tomorrow." As a child, I didn't really understand the significance of those 4 words or why they would be put on an apron like that, but now I do. Why does the diet start tomorrow? Because no one wants to start the diet today. But why does no one want to start the diet today? Because diets are drastic and unpleasant. Think about it. One day you're eating solid food and enjoying life, and the next day you're drinking diet shakes through a straw and wondering, what did you do to deserve this? And dieters seem to think that that's what they have to do or they won't be able to lose weight. But when it comes to weight loss, drastic is not fantastic, because big changes to your behavior are very difficult to stick with. And if you can't stick with it, as soon as you stop the diet, you'll gain back the weight. Remember, weight loss is only successful if it's permanent. So now I'm going to share with you a better way to approach this. But first, I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that you're in a garden, a beautiful garden with lots of grass and trees and flowers, and there's a little squirrel sitting in the corner of the garden that you want to feed. How are you going to approach the squirrel to feed it? Are you going to make loud sounds and big sudden movements? Will you be playing the drums or letting off fireworks? No, you're going to be very quiet, move slowly. You don't want the squirrel to feel threatened. You don't want it to panic. Where am I going with this? Well, when you start a drastic diet, you're basically making big, sudden, loud movements, and that freaks out your mind and your body, because your mind and body are very sensitive to drastic changes in how much you're eating. In ancient times, your ancestors would have had times when suddenly food wasn't available because of, say, war, crop failure, natural disasters, whatever. But when you go on a drastic diet, you remind the mind and body of those drastic times, and they start to panic. And we know that when people go on a drastic diet, their body responds with biochemical changes that make them more hungry, more obsessed with food, and their metabolism slows down. All things that make sense in a famine, but not on a fad diet. So the body fights back against starvation. And you'll know what it feels like when you're fighting your own mind to stick to a diet. It doesn't end well. And so these drastic approaches, they don't work. So how do you stop the body from panicking? How do you stop it freaking out? Just like with feeding the squirrel, slow, gentle movements. But the question is, how do you make slow, gentle movements with weight loss? You do things slowly. You make small changes to your eating, tiny changes actually. And one of my favorite changes you can make is to look at your plate of food that you've served yourself and take 5% off. So let's say there are 20 small potatoes on your plate. You take 1 off, that's 5% less. That's all, just 1. If you eat 19 potatoes instead of 20, would you notice it? No, almost certainly not. Will it make you lose weight? No, not yet. But the fact that you didn't really notice that you were eating less means a few days later you take another 5% off your serving. Will you notice this? Probably not. And you keep doing this slowly but surely, patiently, taking 5% off your plate every few days. And over time, and quicker than you think, you'll find yourself down to much, much less. The equivalent of 5 potatoes as opposed to 20. And you know what the bizarre thing is? At this point, if I gave you 20 potatoes again, you probably wouldn't be able to handle it, because you've trained your brain to accept the 5 potatoes. But of course, you don't just do this with root vegetables, you do it across multiple areas of your eating. And this adds up to weight loss. This is how you train your brain to accept massive changes. You do it slowly but consistently. And the beauty of this approach is you won't even notice the changes. This is why if you read the reviews on my website from clients who've lost weight with me, many of them talk about it like it's some kind of magic. They'll say things like, "I don't even really know what's happened. I'm losing weight and I don't really understand why." This is why. They've trained their brain to eat less. But it doesn't feel like they're doing anything, which is why it feels like magic to them. If you can do this, you'll find it becomes painless to lose weight, and so much easier to stick to the plan. Training your brain means you're working with your mind, not against it. This is the easiest way to lose weight. So how do you feel about the idea of making small changes? Does it seem doable? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.